A very warm welcome to our viewers and welcome to a new episode of Cairo Local Time, our show bringing you all the latest news and developments happening inside Egypt. I'm Angie Meher joining you for the afternoon's edition of the show. As usual, we go to a short break and we'll be back to bring you a look at the news, making the headlines. Stay tuned. And welcome back. We begin with a look at the news making the headlines. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, laid a wreath at the Armed Forces Martyrs Memorial and the tomb of late President Mohammed Anwar al-Sadat on the 44th anniversary of the Sinai Liberation Day. Presidential spokesperson Ambassador Mohammed al-Shinawi stated that President al-Sisi was received upon his arrival by Lieutenant General Ashraf Salim Zahir, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and Minister of Defense and Military Production, and Lieutenant General Ahmed Khalifa, Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces. The Guard of Honor presented arms and the national anthem was played. The President then laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, after which the military band played the Martyrs' Salute. Head of State proceeded to the tomb of late President Anwar al-Sadat to lay a wreath and recite the Fatiha. Marking the 44th anniversary of Sinai Liberation Day, Al-Azhar Grand Imam Sheikh Ahmed al-Tayyib on Thursday greeted President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, marking the 44th anniversary of Sinai Liberation Day. Sheikh al-Tayyib said the memory is an important part of the national identity, noting the determination and sacrifices of the Egyptian army to defend the homeland and safeguard its dignity. He called for taking the occasion as a source of inspiration for the enhancement of security and stability in Egypt. Earlier, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received a cable of greeting from the Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli. In this cable, he hailed the historic occasion as a testament to the nation's unwavering will and sacrifices of the armed forces in safeguarding Egypt's sovereignty. The Prime Minister, who sent another cable of congratulations to the Minister of Defense and Military Production, Ashraf Salim Zahir, reaffirmed the government's commitment to the comprehensive development of the Sinai Peninsula, emphasizing continued push for stability and prosperity across the region. President al-Sisi also received a cable of greetings from the Minister of Interior, Mahmoud Tawfiq, who hailed the military's historic heroism and sacrifices that secured a glorious victory, restored their national territory, and established a pillar for peace and development. Minister prayed Almighty God to continue protecting Egypt and its leadership whilst honoring the martyrs who gave their lives for the nation's dignity and sovereignty. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli held an inspection tour at the integrated industrial zone in Ain to inaugurate 9 new industrial projects. The inaugurations included projects in vital strategic industrial sectors encompassing engineering and metallurgical industries, pharmaceuticals, textiles, glass, manufacturing, chemical and polyurethane, packaging and recycling. Total investment of these projects amount to $182.5 million, creating more than 1,300 job opportunities. Industrial projects cover an area of 338,000 square meters. Following the tour, Madbouli held a press conference at the Suez Canal Economic Zone where he reiterated the state's keenness on intensifying efforts to encourage Egyptian industries and localize and promote various industries in partnership with the private sector, primary partner in economic development. Madbouli confirmed the government has taken a number of measures to provide stimulating environment for attracting more local and foreign investors. He noted President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has directed the government to support local industry and mitigate pressures it faces due to the rising production costs. This is part of the state's desire to enhance productive capabilities of local industries in light of the challenges facing the global markets. And for more news, Turkey's Il Textile will invest $16.5 million to build a ready-made garments and denim factory in Egypt's Kantara West Industrial Zone, part of the Suez Canal Economic Zone, in a project expected to create over 2,500 direct job opportunities. We have the details.
Turkey's ELA Textile will invest $16.5 million to build a ready-made garments and denim factory in Egypt's Kantara West Industrial Zone, part of the Suez Canal Economic Zone, in a project expected to create about 2,500 direct jobs. The factory will be built on a 23,000 square meters site and is expected to produce about 7 million garments annually, with roughly 80% of the output destined for export markets and the remainder for domestic sales. The agreement was signed in the presence of the Suez Canal Economic Zone Chairman Walid Gamaluddin, the Suez Canal Northern Area Deputy Chairman Mohammed Ibrahim, and the ELA Textile Representative Ali Turkman and Mohammed Wahid Rehani. The investment adds to a growing cluster of textile and garment manufacturers in Kantara West, which has attracted 42 projects in the sector with total investments of about $1.14 billion. The Suez Canal Zone chief said the zone has become a hub for export-oriented textile production, supported by its location between Red Sea and the Mediterranean ports, which helps reduce logistics costs and improve access to international markets. The textile and ready-made garment sector is among the most active industries in the zone, driven by demand for labor-intensive manufacturing and export growth. Authorities are seeking to expand such investments as part of a broader strategy to increase local manufacturing, boost exports, and integrate Egypt more deeply into global supply chains.
For more of this, we're delighted to be joined over the telephone by our guest for the afternoon, Dr. Yomn Al Hamaki, Professor of Economics. Dr. Yomn, a very good afternoon to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for your time and for joining us on Cairo Local Time. Now, let's start by the recent development with regards to the launching of a wide-ranging visit to the integrated Sokhna Industrial Zone and the inauguration of over 9 factories today by the Prime Minister, Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, of course, in a series of new industrial developments in Egypt. How important do you see the continued keenness of the Egyptian state to follow up on the industrial affairs of the country, and how does this work towards maintaining the sustainable economic growth in Egypt, Doctor?
Actually, this area, the industrial zone
Yes.
in El Sokhna, can be regarded as a very important location for Egypt to attract foreign direct investment.
Yes.
And actually, it's working according to a specific law aiming to large extent to facilitate the environment of investment and attracting the most important industries that Egypt can have a comparative advantage in it, increasing value chains, integrating value chains of such industries into the international value chain worldwide.
Yes.
And benefiting actually from the location from approximately 5 ports in this area for exportation. So I believe that we have in this area the Chinese area, we have the Russian area, as well as other foreign direct investment that can come and benefit from such important location.
Indeed. Now, these projects, Dr. Yomn, play a great role with regards to the sustainable development and the sustainable growth of the Egyptian economy, as we heard today in the Prime Minister, Dr. Mustafa Madbouli's press conference, which he earlier held. Also, he spoke about a very important side effect, if you may, of such projects, which is the creation of job opportunities and employment opportunities for thousands of Egyptians. How important do you see this as a byproduct of such projects?
This is quite important because for Egypt, with large population, and we have a significant percentage of unemployment, specifically for women, still we are looking for projects that can generate job creations
Yes.
for Egyptians. And from here it comes the importance of this area. We have a lot, as economists, we have a lot of studies that may link, the projects, the industries located in this area, which are significantly diversified industries in many domains, starting from ready-made clothes to medicines to intermediate goods for the industrial sector, fiberglass, and a very wide range of industries in this area. We had a lot of studies to specify to how extent we can prepare, youth as skills required for such projects. And we believe that we have in this area several faculties and technical schools
Yes.
that can, upgrade the graduate of the students there in order to fit the requirements from such industries. This is what we have to work more and in hard for making such link between the requirements of the labor market for these industries and the graduates from these faculties and technical schools. We still have a lot of challenges regarding that, but we are working hard towards fulfilling the requirements.
Indeed. Now, Dr. Yomn, of course, today in the Prime Minister's address, he spoke about the importance of creating a logistics hub as well at these industrial zones. What are some of the advantages that, for example, the Ain industrial zone offers to investments, as it can integrate manufacturing, trade, transportation as well, with the different road networks and seaports, etc., all benefiting, of course, the business affairs of such companies?
Actually, this area can attract investment from all over the world.
Yes.
It represents, for China, for example, Asian economies, a very important hub for, Chinese investment to produce for, European markets as well as United States, since still the trade of Egypt can be regarded as minimal compared to international trade. And from here it comes that we have the benefit of not having, the tariff rates that United States is imposing with China, for example, or other countries, with Vietnam, for example, and all these Asian groups. So by locating these industries in this area, these investments, as the Chinese investment, can prevent high tariff rates and make these areas as a hub for its investment. This can be regarded as a win-win approach, since for Egypt it's important to transfer technology, to inject capital, to upgrade skills, and to increase the GDP growth.
Yes.
For this, Chinese is a good opportunity, Chinese companies, to gain profits, since we have a very good opportunity. We have still low wages of labor, as well as potentialities regarding our raw materials that can be considered in cost very minimal.
Absolutely. Dr. Yomn, also the Prime Minister today spoke about the importance of diversifying industries in Egypt, and how the state is working on having several different kinds of factories and industries, diversification of production in order to, of course, improve and increase the Egyptian economic growth, and do so in a sustainable manner. How important do you see the issue of diversification and the role played by the Egyptian government in the support of the private sector and investors?
This is a very important question,
Yes.
and I believe that still till now, despite what has been mentioned as our industrial sector gaining diversification, I believe still we have a lot of efforts to be done in order to achieve that goal. Since our industrial sector is only participating with 16% of total GDP, so we have a very wide range to increase such percentage. And by enhancing value chains for each industry, starting from the industries is that Egypt is having a comparative advantage in it. I believe that this will generate huge amount of opportunities of job for Egyptians, as well as enabling skilled labor in Egypt to gain more income. Since we all know that what we have to concentrate on is the productivity of labor, so that they can gain more income. This is the crux of our challenges nowadays, that we have to work, and our government is concentrating on such goal. And I believe the Minister of Higher Education nowadays is trying to activate a very important strategy to upgrade the skills of graduates, so that to cope with the requirement of labor market. So this is quite important for us for this period, as I believe that as a professor in university, I believe that the most valuable asset that we have as Egypt is our human resource.
Absolutely. Human capital, of course, the availability of labor, expertise at reasonable prices. Indeed, human capital is a great part of the strength of what the Egyptian market has to offer. Dr. Yomn, now a very important part as well of today's press conference was the Prime Minister's talk about the need for self-sufficiency. He spoke about the industries that have been inaugurated and how they have helped Egypt move towards self-sufficiency, productivity, and move away from importing materials or raw materials or even finished products, which is a very important thing to bridge the trade gap and, shorten the gap between imports and exports, of course, for the benefit of the country. How important do you see this part of today's event?
Yeah, this is very important.
Yes.
And if we revise our exportation, we can see that for electronics, for example, our import is exceeding our export.
Yes.
We are assembling in electronics and exporting, benefiting from cheap labor, as well as for cars. The production of cars in Egypt is an assembly industry in which we are assembling parts of cars in order to export it again or to direct it to the local market, huge local market as Egyptian. This is detrimental for the economy. Why? Because like you mentioned, the content of importation is very high, affecting seriously our balance of trade and the demand for dollar, which is affecting the strength of our Egyptian pound. And from here it comes that we need to change this direction into enhancing the local content of our production. And we have a lot of studies how to do it. Still we need to enhance the climate of investment. We still have challenges regarding climate of investment, as well as still our small industries are not working efficiently enough to fulfill such gaps. So I believe that we need to direct our use towards, like by enhancing the potentialities of industrial clusters. Our industrial clusters still not efficient enough, as well as activating.
Yomn, a lot of effort has been done in this regard in order to group around, like you said, the logistics hub, for example, or industrial clusters, providing them with all the services needed, providing them with infrastructure, transportation, and accessibility, really.
Yes, this is what we need to do.
Absolutely.
And not by just talking, because we have talked a lot about these requirements and recommendations without being able to implement it in reality. So what we need to do is to monitor what we are doing and to, to enhance accountability for policymakers and implementers so that we can guarantee that these requirements are fulfilled in reality, because it can be very important.
Absolutely, very important with regard
to the local context.
Right. I'd like to thank you very, very much. Our dear guest, Dr. Yomn Al Hamaki, Professor of Economics. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your time and your insight and for joining us on this afternoon's edition of Cairo Local Time. Of course, always a pleasure to have you with us. A short break and we'll be back for more. Stay tuned.